Imagine one evening, you and your siblings happily settle down for supper. This is a meal you've looked forward to for the entire day. There is nothing unusual. But then all of a sudden, your siblings are attacked and hacked with a panga. Then before you know it and before you have time to react, it's your turn. But not with a panga. With an axe. Yes, shocker. This is the story of the Kasoma family. Hi guys, welcome to the Ayira Faith channel. I am Ayira, and before we begin, I'd like to thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your time, for sitting down and actually just taking your time to watch this video. I thank you for subscribing. I thank you for liking my videos and sharing them. And for those that have not subscribed to this channel, please kindly consider subscribing, because I post about true crime, mostly murder stories. And I've started a series called Murdered by Family, and we've started in Africa. So the beginning will be African stories. And yeah, so if you're a fan of mystery, murder, true crime, please consider subscribing. Or maybe you just like listening to me speak. That's also okay. Please consider subscribing, sharing my content, liking this channel, because I am actually here for you. Without you, I wouldn't be here, and I am very grateful for your patronage and for your support. Now, before we begin, I owe you guys an apology. I am very sorry that I took this long to upload another video in this series. It's because life happened, things went crazy, and I just, honestly, I couldn't find the time. But I am committed to my channel, and I finally made time, and I've been able to research, I've been able to shoot the video, edit, and I'll finally post it. So your indulgence is very much appreciated. Asanteni sana sana sana. Please keep watching. Please keep sharing my videos. Please keep subscribing, and please keep commenting. Anything that you would like me to do differently, or say, or wherever case you'd like me to handle, that is of interest to you, I'm open. I take suggestions, and I am looking forward to comments in the comment section. Now, without further ado, let's start today's story. Today's story is from the Pearl of Africa, yes, the land of Uganda, bordering Kenya in the west. The Pearl of Africa, this was a name given to Uganda by Sir Winston Churchill. As you all know, Uganda was a former British colony, and it's a landlocked country bordering Kenya to the west, and shares Lake Victoria with Kenya, but Uganda takes a bigger portion of Lake Victoria. And Lake Victoria, of course, is the second largest freshwater lake in the world, and the largest freshwater lake in Africa. Uganda's capital is Kampala, which city is built around 7 magnificent hills. So some of Uganda's attractions, just to name by a few, are the Virunga Mountains to the west and the snow-capped Rwenzori Mountains. Uganda is not so popular as compared to Kenya and Tanzania when it comes to tourist attraction, like the wildlife side, but yes, they do have wildlife. They're famous for the exotic birds, the gorilla mountains, where you can go gorilla watching, which I hear is amazing. Also chimpanzees. They have other wildlife like zebras, gazelles, lions, wildebeest, just to name but a few. Ugandan soil is very, very fertile, and their main cash crop for export is coffee. Uganda exports a lot of coffee, and I've actually had the opportunity to have Ugandan coffee. It's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. Official languages, English and Kiswahili. Of course, they have ethnic groups and ethnic languages, mostly the Nilotes and Bantus, but official languages are English and Kiswahili. But Ugandans don't speak a lot of Swahili, although it was meant to unite the East African nations like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. And it was meant to be like a common language that the East African nations will use, like to do business, yeah, the East African community, and just to actually show like neighborliness and friendliness. Yes, they do speak Swahili, but not so much, not as eloquently as Kenyans and especially Tanzanians. Yeah, just that's a little bit about Uganda. But unfortunately, also Uganda, I must say this, has had some political instability in the past. Of course, things are improving right now. And as our neighbors, we keep supporting them in any way that we can. Apart from that, Ugandan music, I think their musicians are just magical. They actually perform magic. You cannot be in a club or anywhere and Ugandan artist starts singing or Ugandan music comes on and you remain seated. It's very danceable and it's very upbeat and I just love it. I really do love it. Some Ugandan musicians that are my favorite, they're like, for example, Winnie Nwagi, this other lady, oh, Shiba Karunji, there is Eddie Kenzo, there is this other gentleman that my dad likes so much. He's been loved for a while. Oh yeah, Chameleon, yeah. Hey, I like his song, Badilisha. My dad loves it. I let you go, Badilisha. I let you go. I got to go, Badilisha. Yeah, I like Ugandan music. So there's just a little bit about Uganda. I cannot say enough about Uganda because there's so much to say and so much I have not covered. But this video is about murder. And so let's concentrate on murder, the murder part. So we've set the stage. It's Uganda, but the town is Nsanji. So Nsanji is a town in the central region of Uganda, and it is one of the urban centers in Wakiso district. Here we find a gentleman by the name of Christopher Kasoma. Christopher is a 43-year-old. He has recently moved to the area with his family, 8 children, 4 daughters, 3 sons, 4 daughters and 4 sons, I'm sorry. And he's basically unknown to the residents. People find him quiet and basically someone who keeps to himself and minds his business, So he's moved in. He's rented a 1-bedroom apartment in a 5-story flat with very heavy metal doors. For those of us in Africa, I dare say the whole of Africa, but I'm speaking mostly within East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, which is at least where I know we use very heavy metal, burglar-proof metal doors on our doors, most of us. So you know what I'm talking about. The front door, back door is very heavy, it's heavy metallic, very burglar-proof. So these are the kind of doors that, of course, the building had. Take note of this. I'm emphasizing on this point because it's going to be a major part of the story to come. So it is April 27th, 2004, and here is Christopher Kasoma with his children. Some are in primary school, some are young adults, like the oldest daughter was 21, then there was a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old. Yeah, so he's moved in there, he's single, he doesn't have a wife, so of course he divorced. That is what the villagers came to know later on. And everything is fine. Nothing is unusual. People look at him and see him as a normal guy, a normal neighbor, but someone who is just quiet and likes to keep to himself. They didn't really know his occupation, but there was some rumors that he had been deported from UK where he used to work and actually came back to Uganda. And then 4 years later, moved to Ntanji, and he had been there now for 3 weeks. As of April 27, 2004, he was there for 3 weeks. So on this fateful day, Mr. Christopher woke up in the morning. Everything was fine, usual. And he went to the market, went to a hardware store and asked them, look, I want to buy 3 huge padlocks for security in my house. And no one thought anything of it. And he bought these padlocks. They were sold to him. And then after buying them, he asked, do you know where I can find a panga and an axe? And the hardware store gentleman was like, no, I don't sell axes here and pangas here. Maybe you can try the next store. So Christopher smiles, thanks the gentleman, and leaves and goes to the next store. Of course, he finds his panga, he finds his axe, which is brand new at this point. Of course, because he's buying them. Of course, they're brand new. Oh my God. So he buys the panga and the axe, goes further down into the market and gets a guy to sharpen these instruments for him, these weapons for him. And it was kind of strange because this panga and the axe, they're completely brand new. Why would you want them to be sharpened? Again, they are already sharp. They are razor sharp. But he insisted. He said, no, I want you to sharpen because the work I'm going to do with this requires them to be very sharp, extremely sharp. I need to make sure that they're extremely sharp so that they can work properly. So, of course, they were sharpened. I mean, that's his job. I do not blame the guy who sharpened the panga and the axe, even though they were brand new, because if you come to me, my job is to sharpen, and you tell me, hey, I need this to be sharpened, even if they're not blunt, and this is money, I'll take it. Plus, there's little work that I need to do because they're already sharp, you know? So it's less effort and more money. Why not? And you're not hurting anyone anyway. So they sharpened the panga and the axe, gave it to him. He went home. No one thought anything was strange. So that evening in the night, at around 9 p.m., everyone had retired to their homes, of course. People were having dinner. People were conversing around the tables and telling each other about their day, what happened, what did they do. And all of a sudden, there were screams. People were screaming outside. And when the neighbors got up to come and check, they found out that the screams were coming from Christopher Kasoma's house. So the screams were horrific and very terrified, you know, those kinds of screams that are blood curdling, that you know, oh my God, the person who is screaming is in real trouble. So the neighbors, of course, naturally were curious and they wanted to go and see if they could help. So they got out of their houses, rushed to the Kasoma household and started knocking on the door, asking what's going on. Kids were screaming, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. So they knew something was wrong, but they couldn't go in. They couldn't get in. Like I said, strong metallic burglar-proof doors, and plus they had been locked from the inside. So they couldn't get in. All they could do was call the police. All they could do was call the police. So they called the police, and you know, this is Africa. Police don't arrive within minutes like you see in movies. Police take time. Maybe it's because of the resources also. They're not allocated adequate resources to actually respond adequately and within a very short time. And so they came. It was 9 p.m. and the screams went on for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, so 9:30 there, 9:40, everything was quiet in the house. So when the police came in, they had to come with the fire brigade because, again, the door is locked. The doors are locked, both the front and the back doors are heavy, they are metallic, and they had to actually saw the door from its hinges, like saw it down and actually pull it out and set it aside. And when they got in, it was the most horrific sight they have ever seen. So let's recap. This is what happened. Remember when Christopher was in the market earlier that day, 27th April, and when he bought 3 huge padlocks and an axe and a panga and actually had them sharpened, like razor sharp, it's because he was planning to murder his entire family. So he went home, waited for the kids to assemble for dinner at around 9 p.m. They unknowingly did. And he locked them in using those big padlocks that he had bought. He locks the front door and the back door, put the padlocks on, and hid the key. And then when the kids were gathering for dinner, he attacked. We don't know if he used the panga first or the axe first, but both of them were bloody, so he must have used both of them. I don't know if he used a panga on a specific child and an axe on another specific child, or it was just a manic episode, it was haphazard, it was whoever gets what, gets it. But we know that he attacked his family and killed them. He killed 8 family members. One of them was a 2-year-old grandson. And one of his daughters, a 19-year-old, was also pregnant. So you can imagine how, oh my God, I can't imagine how distressed these children must have been, these kids must have been. Imagine someone you trust, your father, your own father, you've known him as your father, you've lived with him your entire life. And then out of nowhere, you were just attacked one night when you're having dinner. You just attacked. He just attacks you. And you suddenly realize that you're trapped. You have nowhere to go. He's locked the front door. He's locked the back door. And with big padlocks. As such, yeah. Big, huge padlocks. And you can't stop him. He's crazy. It's rage. You don't know why. You don't know what happened. And he's just hacking and hacking and hacking away one by one. One by one. And you're trapped. There's no way to fight him. There's no way to get out of the house. You scream. The neighbors are just outside the door. You can hear them. But you can't get out. Because it's locked. And they can't come in to help you. Help is just a hand stretch away. But you can't get help. Oh my God, it must have been horrible, so terrifying for these kids. Someone would say, why would they just use the window? You know, our windows, they are normally barred by, it's normally, of course, a glass window, but in between, after the glass, there is the metal grill that is normally a very strong metal, of course, again, burglar proof. So they couldn't squeeze out of the window. They couldn't get out of through the door. And they were being murdered. They were trapped and being hacked to death by a panga and an axe. And to make it worse, by their own father. And there's nothing they could do about it. Oh my God, that is a very horrible way to go. That is a very horrible way to go. Very horrible. I can't imagine the terror these children felt and the helplessness they felt. It's a very, very sad story. So anyway, when the police came in, pulled the door aside, like I said, they saw it off its hinges, and they found Christopher there. The 43 years is standing there holding an axe a bloody axe in his right hand. He's covered in blood. And you know what he says? The first thing he says is, please do not shoot me. I have taken poison. So, you know, I don't know, maybe it's because of, maybe he snapped and killed his family, and then he realized, oh my God, what did I do? And then with the guilt and the remorse and not being able to live with himself from the act that he had done, he decided to take poison. Or maybe it was his plan all along, kill them and then take poison so that he can evade the law. We don't know. But those are the first words he said. Imagine this man, you've murdered your family, premeditated murder, in fact, because he thought about it, planned it, actually bought the instruments, had them sharpened, bought the padlock, locked his children, his poor kids, plus his 2-year-old grandson, two-year-old grandson, in that house, trapped them like animals, like rats, cut them to pieces, slaughtered them in the most brutal way manner possible. And then the first thing he says when the police come in, don't kill me, I have taken poison. He doesn't want to die a painful death, yet he killed his own family, his own children, in a very horrific, the most horrific manner there is, actually. And by the way, let me ask, I've been doing a lot of reading and research on murder in Africa. Most of these perpetrators use axes and pangas or machetes, like the Europeans call it. I wonder why. Or maybe it's because we don't have access to guns like the West. You know, the Western parts police shootings and homicides and school shootings happen all the time because the guns are readily available and anyone can access a gun at any time. But I guess here in Africa, they use matches and pangas, which is a very brutal way to kill, because maybe that is the instrument that is readily available or close enough. Does it make sense? I don't know, but also we have poison, like Christopher took poison and allowed himself a less painful death, but killed his family in the most brutal way manner possible, or in the most brutal way possible. Why couldn't he just like poison them if he really wanted to kill them? The same poison he took, he could just have put the same thing in the food they were eating. These babies just sleep and kids just sleep and never wake up. But he chose the hardest, the most brutal, and the most horrific way to kill them. Imagine an axe falling on you. Oh my God, that is horrible. And I remember reading the description of the house. There was pools of blood everywhere, clotting blood everywhere. There was splashes on the sofas. There was splashes even on the ceiling, on the walls, in the food they were eating. There was clothes and shoes strewn everywhere. There was a coffee table there that had been chopped and chopped and chopped. It's as if one of the children was hiding under the coffee table or holding it, a piece of it up, so that to protect herself or himself from the blows coming from her father. And it was cut and cut. So there were 5 bodies in the living room, a pile of bodies cut in pieces, arms maybe dislocated or dismembered from the bodies, the legs. There was 2 or 3 bodies that the police reported that were cut so deep around the neck area that they were almost beheaded. It was so deep, the cuts were so deep that they were almost beheaded. You can imagine the amount of blood in that room, in that house. And then in the bedroom, there were 3 more bodies, and there they could find 2 daughters, and the 2-year-old boy. And this was the most disheartening part of the story. I mean, all of it is just horrible and heartbreaking, but this was very bad. They found the mother of the child, the 2-year-old child, so the daughter of Christopher Kasoma. She had died with her arms around her boy. She was trying to protect her son from her father's blows. So she had a lot of wounds, deep cuts and wounds on her back, all over, and also on her arms, like she was like this, and cuts on the son, or the little 2-year-old boy, the grandson. most of them were unfinished. By unfinished, what do I mean? Like if this is a panga, yeah, this is a panga, and I decide to cut you here like this. So, you know, if I hit you like this with a panga, then the length of it, the sharp edge that has actually penetrated your skin and gotten into your flesh, it's of a certain length, of course, and it would actually need to be, if I hit you, it would actually imprint lengthwise. Like if the length of, let's say, the panga is 30 inches, then the cut would be, let's say, 20 inches, just give or take, because no one actually cuts completely flat. Yeah, it will be at a certain angle. But they found the cuts on the little boy were too small and too short, meaning that there was someone protecting him. Someone was receiving half his blows on his behalf. And by the state of the body of the mother, they found that she had the most cuts of all the bodies that were there. Meaning this poor woman tried so much to save her son. She was fighting because she had defensive wounds. She was trying to fight the father off, and when she couldn't and realized he's too strong, she decided to try and save the son. But unfortunately, the son died, and she received so many blows to the head, neck, back, arms, chest, her stomach, her thighs, actually all over her body, and she actually just bled to death and died. Another very horrifying fact that they shared in the news, some of the bodies had been cut so badly that the intestines had actually spewed out. They were just all over. You could just see the matumbos, and the internal organs were just exposed, some of them. Oh my God. It must have been very, very horrible. It must have been, I lack words, but it was a very gruesome act and a very gruesome sight. One that I think would give anyone nightmares. Yeah. So Kasoma was not arrested. He actually dropped dead there. And then when people are still in shock and trying to come to terms with what happened, so he wasn't arrested, he wasn't charged, he wasn't imprisoned. Like a coward that he is, he killed himself to escape. So he dropped dead and he died. And so, of course, when something like this happens, people would always ask why. We're not saying that would change anything, but it would at least help people get, let me say, maybe closure, or maybe help us as a society and even the police know how to prevent such things in future. So people are asking why. And then there were many theories. And the more we spoke to the neighbors, the more they came to understand something else that might have led to this. Apparently, before they had moved in that area 3 weeks ago, but earlier, 4 years ago, his wife had left him. They had divorced. It was a very acrimonious marriage, and she had moved on and married a Rwandan man. So Kasoma was very bitter and very jealous about this. And people say that he used to complain and say that one day he would do something to make his wife pay. He will do something so big and so bad that she will never forget, something that will hurt her so much the way he has been hurt by her. So people were speculating maybe this was what made him commit this kind of murder. It's a speculation. It's revenge to make her suffer, the ex-wife suffer. Others say it was money issues because, as I said, he had been deported from the UK earlier, and they were living in a one-bedroom house. There were 8 children, together with him 9. And I don't think that is a big enough house for 9 people. 1 bedroom, like 2 rooms, a sitting room and a bedroom. The toilet was outside. I don't think that's big enough for them. And then maybe the pressures of life from trying to provide for all these kids, and then he has a grandson, and then another daughter of his is also pregnant, so another mouth to feed. So people are contemplating that maybe it was the pressures of life, the stresses of life that just made him snap. But this is my take. If your daughters get pregnant and they give birth, you talk to them, have a talk to them with them, let them sit down and tell them, look, you gave birth, you're an adult, you had sex, you know the consequences, this is part of the consequences, so you're going to take responsibility for your actions, you're going to work, help me take care of your child. Or you can then find a job and move out and take your child with you. You don't kill them, you talk to them, you give them ultimatums. You tell them this is it. This is how things are going to be from here on out. This is your responsibility. You made this choice. You got pregnant. You gave birth. And so you should now grow up and take care of your children. You don't have to kill them. So I don't think that's really a reason to, because there was another one pregnant and another one with a baby, with a 2-year-old baby, living in a 2-roomed house, 9 of them. A third one that I also read about, people thought maybe he snapped, which is normally very common with such cases, because, you know, he's dead. He's not there to defend himself or tell us why he did it. He's dead, so people just theorize. And people, you know, now you start thinking about this guy. Yeah, I know this guy. Were there any signs of what he was going to do? You start playing back conversations you had with them. You start asking yourself, could I have listened more? Could I have talked to him more? Could I have spoken to someone or expressed my concerns? So villagers were saying he used to act in a very crazy manner. He used to say people were following him. He used to say people were hiding behind bushes in his house watching him. He used to say he had voices and people were trying to lay traps for him. So some people thought that maybe he snapped, he was crazy, he went crazy and he did what he did. It might be possible. Yeah, it might be a mental health issue. It might be possible. But then again, you know, if you snap, this is why I disagree, because if you snap and you go crazy, you should be able, you actually should show that you actually snapped, you went crazy. Because if it's something you are not intending to do, it will not look planned. For him, this mother looked premeditated. In the sense that he actually went and bought these padlocks, 3 huge ones, in fact, very strong ones. He went, bought a panga and an axe deliberately. And he had some at home. It's not like he didn't have any pangas or axes. He did. But he went to buy fresh, brand new ones and then had them sharpened to make them sharper. Which means this guy knew what he was doing. He actually planned this. He actually knew, tonight I am going to kill my family, my children, and my grandson. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to first trap them by locking them in with these 3 padlocks, and then attack them when they least expect it, when they are relaxed. And when is this? Dinner time. When kids are having supper. Yeah, so this is something that he thought about it, he planned it, and he actually went ahead and executed it and did it. So, no. We are not claiming insanity here. This guy was not insane. This guy knew exactly what he was doing. Either this guy was just angry at the woman and wanted to, like, make her pay, or 2, he just wanted to murder his family and then kill himself. He just was tired of living and decided to take his entire family with him, which is, if you ask me, very, very selfish. and very horrible, a very horrible thing to do. So we cannot say insanity. This guy planned this thing and actually did it. He wasn't insane. There's no way he was insane. Yeah, so anyway, that is the story of the Kasoma family. And before we end this video, out of respect, I would just like to read out loud the names of his victims. I managed to find some first and last name and age, and some only first name and no age, and also no last name. So you'd bear with me because this incident happened quite a while ago, and plus reporting wasn't so good back then. So the first one, his daughter Gertrude Kakae, 21-year-old, Perus Kablinde, a 19-year-old who was pregnant, Samalia Namakunda, an 18-year-old. This is the mother of the little 2-year-old boy who was trying to protect her son. The 2-year-old boy, that is Peter Namakunda. Joseph Nyakojo, this is the son. Juliet Nakalema, a daughter. And then Ronnie, a son. And also Dennis, a daughter. We know that, Dennis, a son. We know that Ronnie and Dennis were in primary school at the date of death, and Juliet Nakalima and Joseph Nyakojo, his son and daughter respectively, they were in high school. Yeah, so those are the 8 people that were murdered. You could say 9 plus the unborn baby, the fetus. We're not saying 10, we're not including him. No, because that was just a coward's way out. He just decided to kill his family and then didn't want to face the consequences. Actually, he was too cowardly and then decided to take poison. So that's the story of the Kasoma family. Please tell me what you think down in the comment box. Tell me, what's your speculation? What do you think? Why do you think this guy did this? And don't tell me insanity. Can't be insane. Yeah, can't be insane. I don't think so, because if you act out of insanity, it cannot be as planned the way he had it planned. So no, he wasn't insane. So thank you guys. Please remember to comment down below, like, subscribe, share, and I will be seeing you very, very, very soon with another video on murdered by family. Stay safe, enjoy your holidays, and enjoy also your families. See you later. Bye.